Hi everyone! So today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little "I have so much room in my heart for you" card. I just love that pun, using Fawn's new Gnome stamp set. And the stamp set is the one that's on the screen right now. And I have some good news. I have an extra of this stamp set. So if you would like a chance to win it, just leave me a comment below and let me know what your favorite of all time Fawn stamp set is. And I will announce the winner this Sunday, March 9th. Okay, so let's get right to it and start working on the card. So I'm using an A2 size card base, and it's cut from 110-pound Nina Solar White cardstock. And I just taped it down to my little piece of chipboard just to make it easier for you all to see here on screen, and because I like the little white border that I get around my scenes when I tape it down like this. And it also helps the marker to glide easily across the page when I do that. So I'm just taking a bunch of images from the stamp set, and I'm stamping and masking as I go along. And in any cases where I didn't get a perfect impression, I will just fill in whatever missing line there is with my Copic multi-liner, and I usually use a 0.3 or a 0.5 when dealing with Fawn stamps. Those two sizes seem to work best. The masking paper I'm using is Simon Says Stamps masking paper, which I find to be the best masking paper in terms of quality and price to stand up to the heavy Copic coloring that I do. And now we're just gonna start coloring in the scene. And this one I had a lot of fun coloring. I mean, how can you not have fun coloring in a beautiful, adorable little spring scene? But the coloring is pretty easy here, and I'm going to tell you what I did. So I am just putting in one layer of color over the entire background. So I have a nice light blue for the sky, and then a really, really pale green for the grass. So the green that I used was G20, but G40 would also work really, really nice here. You really want like a nice, light, muted green. And then to fill in the grass in the background, I thought I would do something a little different. And basically what I'm doing is I'm doing my shading by just adding a whole bunch of tiny little dots all over the ground. And I'm gonna focus my darker dots near the front of the card, or another way to look at it is like the bottom portion of the card, because that's what's closer to us and that's what would appear darkest. And then I'm going to put my lighter dots toward the back. And I'm using about, I think, 3 different Copic markers to do this. So I have a G24 for my midtone, and then this YG67 for my darker, my shading tone, I guess, my shading marker, whatever you want to say. And then I'm just going to go over everything and kind of smooth it together and blend it out with a G20. And I just love the look that this gives. It gives kind of a whimsical, fun, happy look to the card that's just a little bit different from a solid blended background. And it was also really, really fun and relaxing to color this way. So if you're in a little bit of a Copic rut or an alcohol marker rut, I urge you to give this technique a try. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. So now let's move on to coloring in the mushrooms. And for the mushrooms, I'm going to use my lightest or my highlight shade with the YR12. That's a little trick that I learned recently in the past month or so, and I've been using a lot when coloring with reds, to use this YR12 as my highlight tone. It gives it just a really, really pretty brightness and depth, I feel, than just kind of sticking with the traditional lighter red shades that you might normally use for a highlight. And so I start off with my lightest color, and I apply that to the areas where I want my highlights to appear. And then I fill in the rest of the mushroom with a R24, which is my second lightest color, kind of like my base color I like to think of. And then I'm going to go right to my darkest color, which is R39, and then I'm going to apply the shadows, and that's what I was just doing. And then I'm going to blend out the shadows with an R29. And that's what I'm doing here on screen. And there's no like real rhyme or reason to this. I think what I was trying to do was to have the lip of the mushroom to appear the lightest. So I tried to concentrate my darker colors away from the lip, like more towards the top of the mushrooms, and sometimes off to one side. But I'm really just having fun and relaxing and enjoying coloring here. And then after I have my R29 in, I'm going to go and blend that back towards my YR12 with a R24. And then just to finish it all out and blend everything together, I'm going to use that YR12. And I just love the bright, deep red color that this gives to the mushrooms using these four colors. These are my favorites, I think, right now for reds. For the mushroom stem, we are going to make them look a little bit shaded, but then we're also going to make them look a little bit dirty. So to start, I just went over with my E44 to add the shading. And now we're going to do that same dot technique on the mushroom stems to make them appear dirty that we had done for the rest of the ground. So to do that, I just dotted all over with my E44, and then I'm going to go over that and blend the dots out farther with my E43, doing the same thing, more dots with an E41, and then I'm going to blend everything together with an E40, trying to leave at least a little bit of pure white space on the mushrooms just so that the dirt really stands out from the white mushroom stem. Now we'll move on to carrying the little wheelbarrow that our little gnome man, or I guess he's not a gnome man, I guess he's just a gnome, right? That he's pushing, that has these cute little flowers in it. And I'm going to use some cool grays for that. So I used my C5 as my darkest shade, and then C3, C1, and possibly a C0. I don't remember what I used, but I'm sure you can see it on screen. And then that's it. And I focused my shading on the wheelbarrow towards the outer edges. For the stems, I'm going to color everything in with a YG01, and then for a shading color, I'll use my YG09 and a YG03. And I was just playing here, trying different combinations. I want the stems all to look similar, like they're all part of the same family, but have a little bit of variation in color between light and dark. So that's what I was doing there with my YG markers. And then for our little flower buds, I'm going to use BV01, I think that, BV02 and BV04. And I'm going to color all the buds the same color. And then for our little daisies, I guess, I just use my Y11 for the center. For the tulips, I'm using RV52 and RV55, which are just really, really beautiful, bright, solid pink colors. I love those two colors to shade items in pink. And then for our little daisies, we're just going to color them in like a peachy color. So we're going to use some R20, some R43, and then a little bit of R30 as well. And now we can move on to the last step of the coloring, which is to color in our little gnome couple. And we're going to color them in their skin with E11 and then E13. Then I'm just doing real simple coloring on the beard and the hair. And then I'm just using some warm grays to make the shadows and the shading on their little hats. And I know that gnomes, you know, I guess traditionally they're supposed to be wearing red and blue clothing, but I just thought that using these colors, the browns and the whites, would help our little couple stand out from the scene. I felt that there was a lot of red with the mushrooms, and blue, I didn't really think blue would look so great in the scene, a deep blue. So I just wanted to keep everything kind of light, but I also wanted to color them in a color that would be pretty contrasted from the rest of the scene. So I'm just making some little variations of color to the sky by adding some streaks of B60 and then some B00 to darken things up a little bit. And now it looks good to me. So I'm going to remove the painter's tape, and then we're going to put the whole thing in the Misty and use one of the sentiments from the kit, which is adorable. It's the cutest pun ever. I have so much room in my heart for you. And I'm going to color in mushroom in Red Lobster ink by Fawn, and I find those tiny little square ink cubes help a lot when you're trying to color in just some parts of the sentiment. Then I'm going to be real careful with my black VersaFine ink and be sure not to touch the mushroom because I want to keep that part red, and I want the rest of the sentiment to be nice and crisp and black. So there we have it. I think it's going to work out. One more stamp and we got it. And now we're just going to attach the whole thing to an A2 size card base. And that's it for our cute little I have so much room in my heart card. So if you would like a chance to win this Oh Gnome stamp set by Lawn Fawn, just like I said, drop a comment below and let me know what your favorite Lawn Fawn stamp set of all time is, and I will announce the winner on Sunday, March 9th. All right, everyone, have a great week, and I will see you again in the next video.